Hello, everybody. Benjamin Parris, Matt Weiss, welcoming you back to CCSN Snacktime. Today, we're joined by Jack Moss. He plays baseball at Cherry Creek. He's headed off to Arizona State next year. Jack, how are you?
I'm good. Great to be here.
So, obviously, you're not playing baseball right now, but what are you doing to keep busy?
Just killing a lot of time, still doing baseball stuff. I have a nice setup in my garage so I can still do a lot of the stuff I need to do to, stay on top of stuff for baseball. I got a lot of my weightlifting stuff in there too. So, it's pretty easy to stay on top of that stuff. So, just getting creative with it too. Thinking of some fun ways to, get better and, just really focusing on, spending time with family also. It's nice to reconnect with those guys a little bit. Being out of the house all the time, training and practicing, it's tough because you don't really see your family a lot. But I think before I head off to college after all this stuff ends, and I think it'll be good to have said that I got to spend some time with those guys.
You have family members who, like, where do you fall? Do you have other brothers and sisters?
Yeah, so my parents were divorced, and my mom got remarried, had a brother that's 8 years younger than me, so he's 10. And then my dad got remarried 7 years ago, and they had another boy, so I have a 2-year-old brother also. So pretty spread out.
I feel that.
I remember that when my daughter, there's a little Moss too, because my daughter's 3.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
So, growing up, how did you know that you've obviously excelled at it, but how did you know that baseball is going to be the thing for you?
Baseball for me was just something that I loved because when I was really little, I lived in California, and my first ever baseball game was at Chavez Ravine and Dodger Stadium. So like I grew up, loving the Dodgers. My favorite, those guys are some of my favorite players ever. And then I just remember I'd always go to those games with my dad, and he'd always take me, and we'd always get there super early, and we'd always go and get autographs. And, I thought it was like the coolest thing ever. And so when I moved to Colorado at about 5-6 years old, I'd go back and forth still because my dad still lived there. My mom lived here, but now both live here. But, that love never really faded away because, we moved right into Denver. So I'd go all the time. Like, I just remember as a kid, like I'd always go to Coors Field, and watch the Rockies. And, that's how I became a Rockies fan too. Just, enjoying those games. And I just remember, like, ever since I could, pick up a bat, it was always something I loved to do, or pick up a glove. Like, it just never got old. And like the novelty really never wore off. Like it's just fun. Like and it's still fun to me, being 18 years old as it was when I was 5 years old. So, I played basketball and football too growing up, but I think, myself and, my family knew that it was always going to be baseball.
When did you start playing first base specifically? Are you lefty?
I throw right, bat left. So I grew up playing third base. So I grew up playing third, and I pitched. So those were my two positions. Like, that's where I played primarily. And then when I came into Creek, I was still a third baseman. Summer. And then my sophomore year, I didn't want to play third just because first base, it's easier to move there than it is to like third or anywhere else, unless the outfield. Once you play third, it's easy. It's easy to transition to the outfield just because, your whole life you grew up just, staying on your toes. Like that's the whole point of like third base, first base. But I transitioned there because, number one, I wanted to pitch and I wanted to help Creek out, on a pitching perspective. Being a younger kid, I didn't know that. So this was after I'd committed to Virginia initially. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. I had you pass sophomore year when you. Yeah.
You did. You had me. And so I didn't know that I was going to, I wanted to move to first because I figured it could help the team more. And, playing first base is a lot easier on your arm, especially when you pitch also. So I still played a little bit of third that year, and I still did in the summer. But I really, I guess, fully made the transition, and I kind of scrapped third, and I'm playing first base in the outfield now. But it was just hard on my arm. Like, I think I really made that transition sophomore year. And then I stopped pitching just due to injury. I got hurt a couple times over that summer and the winter heading into my junior spring. So yeah, that's kind of the story behind me going to first.
And you all, well, also during that time, I don't know you before that, but it seems like your bat has exploded too the past few years. I know you do a lot of work outside of just Creek baseball and individual work on that and weight training and all of that, but it just seems like your bat has exploded the past few years too.
Yeah. I could always, like, ever since I could pick up a bat, I could always hit. That was the question. That was the big question was I going to be a pitcher or a hitter? And then that decision would have had to been made, like, pretty much when it was made. But, being injured kind of, and, hitting the way I did kind of, just resolved that issue on its own. But, growing up, there was never an issue that I could hit. To the level of, that I've done it over the past couple of years. That's just attributed to, the coaches at Creek. And, the guys that I work with outside of Creek, obviously. But, and then, I also think a lot of that kind of came with maturity, just from a physical and mental standpoint. As a freshman, I was 6'1", 145 pounds, and I grew 3-4 inches and put on 60 pounds. So, it's just an entirely different, maturity aspect. That's kind of how the bat came around.
So the MLB draft and college baseball and next level baseball is a very complicated thing. The MLB draft is huge. There's a bunch of rounds. Guys get picked right out of high school. But then how does the college route more work? And then after college, what happens after that?
Okay, so, with the draft, I'll just base it off of my particular standpoint. With the draft, it's a route that works for some kids out of high school and some kids it doesn't. Like, if you're a high schooler getting drafted, unless you're fully developed, fully grown, and there is no projection, a lot of the times scouts and organizations are going to draft you based off of what they think you're going to do. So, I still have, plenty of more room to fill out, and I still have a lot more. There's a lot more that can be developed in what I can do as a player. And that's the same with a lot of high school kids. But the benefit of going to college is you get, number one, 3 more years to develop. And number 2, it gives you a chance. So I'm going to Arizona State. So if I went and, excelled at Arizona State and I had a, great 3 years there, which, a lot of guys leave after 3 years at ASU or wherever just because they get their degree and then they're draft eligible, so they have no reason to stick around for that 4th year. It's rare, unless you redshirt or get hurt or whatever the case may be, or you just want to stay. So you get that extra 3 years to prove, to everybody that, hey, I can do this at a high level. I can play at a high level, and I'm showing you what my, it's more of after the 3 years, it's more of like a finished product sort of thing. So that projection that they based you off of, what they thought you were going to do out of high school, after that 3 years is up, they're like, okay, this kid can do this. He can do this. He can do this. He struggles doing this, that, the other. And it gives them a much more just knowledgeable take on what you are as a player. So it gives you better, it just gives you more security in their organization, like knowing what you can do. But a guy like Cody Bellinger, who plays for the Dodgers and just won MVP, that's a guy that was super projectable out of high school. He was super late bloomer, but he could always hit. And he got picked in the 4th round by the Dodgers. And, he's he only hit one high school home run, and I think he made it. I think it was 3 years in the minor leagues, and he was a big leaguer. And shoot, he just won MVP literally this past season. So I mean, it can go. I mean, there's pros and cons to both sides, really.
Awesome.
Great. Curious, maybe unless Ben has a different question, or Ben, you probably have a good question. You go for it, bud.
Oh yeah, I just want to bring it back to last season where regionals, you guys went all the way to the bottom of the 7th in regionals. I think you guys were on your last out before somebody hit the walk-off. And then you guys ran all the way to state and played Regis. How much fun was that run? Because, I mean, that was high-quality baseball.
Most fun I've ever had playing baseball. And that speaks so much. The best part about it, too, was that we had such a difficult road to get to that game. And, you know, that team especially, I mean, the thing about that team was, you know, coming into the season, we'd lost pretty much everybody from the year before. And we had 20 seniors my sophomore year, 3 juniors, and me. And that year, we went through growing pains at the beginning of the season. We got smacked around by Mountain Vista and a couple of other teams early in the season. Then we got hot towards the end of the year, and that's all baseball is. I mean, if you get hot at the right time, it's really hard to beat you. And we went on the run, like you said. We won our 2 regional games. We went on a run. Regis got us twice. We beat them in the regular season, but they got us twice in the playoffs. But I mean, still, I wouldn't trade that for the world. Anything that we did that year. I mean, we beat all the top dogs. Like, everybody we beat in that tournament was ahead of us ranked. And I mean, we got beat, I think, 15-2 against Mountain Vista, our second game of the year. And in the Final Four to go to the state championship, we beat them like 4-1. Like, it was awesome. Like, there's nothing more. There's no greater feeling than that. Playing in that game in the state championship. If a couple other things, things went our way, we're right in that game. And I think the guys at Regis would tell you, I mean, it was definitely a lot closer of a game than, you know, whatever the scoreboard may have shown, because, I mean, we really did have a lot of opportunities and they just did a good job of holding us. So, so much fun. That's the answer to that question.
It is snack time. What do we got for snack today?
Oh, I'm a big applesauce guy. I love applesauce. It's like my favorite snack ever. It's ever since I was like 5 years old. It's like, this is amazing. I love this stuff. Grew up on it. It's definitely a go-to for sure.
Weiss, what about yourself?
Well, after he said that, I think my son's going to get a squeezy, but we have a lot of applesauce at this house. But I went with the trusty RX bar again today. Until these are gone, my go-to afternoon snack. But we do have a lot of applesauce. And little kids, you know, those squeezies. Because I have snacks at school too, so I'm with you. What about you, B?
What's simple? The chocolate chip cookie today. Made it with a little bit less sugar than usual, so I'm not doing a lot outside the house, so can't have a ton of sugar right now. But
there's Max with the
nice, love it. Heck yeah.
Yeah, buddy.
Jack, obviously peanuts, Cracker Jacks, all that is notorious with baseball, but is there any food that goes around a lot in the dugout?
Yes. I would just say the biggest go-to for any baseball player is just sunflower seeds. Those are, that's probably the biggest thing that, you know, is like, it's tough. It's difficult when you got a bunch of dudes in a dugout that, like, you know, and you leave your seeds out, like, you'll come back to your bag and they'll all be gone. Like, they'll be stolen by me.
You guys more of a David's team, or are you a Biggs team, or what kind of seeds do you like? I feel like on the lacrosse team, I'm a big David guy. I love the flavors. I love barbecue. I love the jalapeno salsa. I think they have a lot more flavor, but they're smaller seeds, where it seems like your generation like some of these other brands. So I'm curious what you guys go.
I'm trying to think of a brand. I know the flavor. I know the flavor is chili lime. That's my all-time favorite seed. Or just regular salted. I don't get too crazy with the flavors. I just like regular salted if I do it. I don't really choose seeds during the game.
Yeah.
I know a lot of other people do though. I have to probably say Spitz though. That's probably my favorite. I think that's a good one.
That seems to be the go-to with you guys. I just need Spitz to put a little more flavor. I'm a flavor guy. We have this debate a lot.
Just put a bunch in your mouth and just like suck on them. Yeah.
It's been the best years on the lacrosse team because I choose so much. A lot of the players, if I wrote a recommendation, it seems like that's my gift is like a season's worth of seeds. So it also gives me a lot of cavities, so I guess I'm not missing out.
Yeah, there you go.
Last question for me, at least, is there an MLB player that you talked about Cody Bellinger earlier, but a guy that you look up to a lot or try to emulate something about his play?
Yeah. When I was younger, it was Chipper Jones. I used to switch hit for that reason, but over the recent years, I'd probably say Christian Yelich. That's a guy that grew up and lived and went to high school and right where I used to live in California, the Westlake, like Thousand Oaks area. It's pretty close to that area. So, and I know a lot of guys that I've worked with him, and I just think the way he goes about his business is just calm and collected. And then I think how he plays just kind of speaks for itself. But he's just So like try to be like him. If I could get anywhere close to that one day, I think I'd be pretty happy with my career.
Nice. Weiss, anything else from you?
Yeah, I guess I'm just curious, non-baseball related favorite memory or from
At Creek?
Yeah. On the spot.
That's a tough one. I don't know. I guess it really isn't just a memory or just in any individual memory, but I think the best, or one of the best parts about Creek for me was just the socialization aspect of it. I mean, like just anytime walking into a class, I mean, you see all your buddies and it's before the bell and you're talking, hanging out, just enjoying that experience. And, I've met, so many great people at Creek, including teachers and, faculty and staff and everything. That's, not even including my coaches. And that doesn't even, my friends, I've made some lifelong buddies that, are at Creek. And I think just, spending the time with those guys, outside of school and, in school, that's the thing I think I'm missing most right now. Just, being in quarantine and everything. I think you don't realize how much you miss it, but I'd probably say that 100%.
I think really well said. I think I went to Creek too, and my dad used to always ask me my favorite part of the day, and I used to say passing period, because with our campus and the way you walk from building to building, you get to see so many people, and it's like constant what-ups and high-fives, which obviously might be a thing of the past after this, but I used to love that. And as a teacher, I still love that, going building to building. Like I never minded that I had to go different classrooms because we get to see so many different kids and all sorts of different stuff. And so I think what you said, it captures the spirit and kind of the uniqueness of our campus that allows all that to happen too. All high schools have great socialization, but that's something unique to our campus. So I guess last thing I'd say is, from the moment I met you, Jack, you've been a highly touted baseball player, but you to carry yourself with so much humbleness, and you're really like low key, and you don't talk about how hard you work and all the things you do behind the scenes. So to see all the success that's coming your way, and obviously the success we all are rooting for you in the future, it's been pretty awesome. So thanks for carrying yourself that way, because there's other people watching, there's other younger kids watching, and that's how you're a great example of how to do it. So
I appreciate it, Mr. Weiss. Thank you. And I also got to throw out there your class. I came in first day of school. I didn't know who was in the class, and I kind of like turn the corner and I see all the senior upperclassmen baseball players, and and I mean, I was like, oh god, like this is gonna be rough. This is gonna be tough. And I was like, that class was awesome. So thank you.
It was unique. It was bad. Jack.
Yeah,
He
that was smart.
get a U.S. history credit as a sophomore, but he wasn't here freshman year. So they put him in my recent America class because it fulfills the U.S. history class, but it's a senior elective, a very laid-back senior elective for the most part, more of like a civics class. So yeah, Jack is this sophomore stud with all these other senior guys that, tried to keep him humble too.
yeah, it's funny. It's all good.
That's all.
I loved it. Best memories ever.
Fun.
Well, there you have it. Thanks, Jack, for joining us on Snack Time. Best wishes to you going forward.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I appreciate it a lot.
Look forward to seeing you sometime. See ya.
Yeah, later. Bye.